let's get this ball on the road. Is that even the right wording? Might and Magic 6.
3DO.
They came from the depths of the void, an ancient enemy of an ancient people. No one knows why they hate us so, or why they have made war upon us. Some say the struggle against their evil is the mandate of heaven. Though their origins and purpose are shrouded in mystery, their plan is simple. They travel, they land, and then they conquer. Now, they are here on our world to do to us what they have done to so many others. And they will do it, unless someone stops them.
Come with me. You have much to learn before you can deal with the likes of those monsters. Since the arrival of the devils, foul creatures and evil spirits have appeared throughout the land. These signs and omens can have but one meaning, that your destiny is part of the mandate of heaven.
Okay, are you ready? First, let me say, I hope, well, first of all, I hope the audio settings are okay. I'm trying to relax a bit. I have a tendency to, this is kind of laughable, but to try to be too professional. I get hung up on it and well, stifled by it, and don't want to. It starts to seem hard, and I don't want to do it for a while. And weeks go by, I don't do any streaming or post any videos on YouTube. And well, I'm just going to try to get into the habit of just whenever I'm going to play a game, strongly consider streaming it. Just try to relax, play the game. So the audio setting, I didn't bother to test this very much, and so the audio settings, they may not be too great, and it's really not that important for this game, I don't think. Audio is just there for the fun of it, really. It's not like there's spoken text that's of any relevance. In fact, the spoken text is really kind of funny because it's well, it's minimal, but it rarely has anything to do with who you're talking to. It seems to be just almost entirely random. But seems like I had another point to what I was saying here. Oh yes, I was going to say this is going to be almost a blind play. I have played this for a few hours, just trying to get used to it. There we go again, coughing with muting. Had the game for a while. You can get a Might and Magic 1 through 6 multi-pack from GOG.com, GOG, for something less than $10, probably $6, and then it goes on sale periodically. So I highly recommend picking it up. I've looked at Might and Magic 1 before. In fact, I take it back. I've played Might and Magic 1 quite a lot. We're talking DOS era here. I don't think there's even any color to it. I mean, in fact, forget DOS era. I'm pretty sure Might and Magic 1 was originally an Apple II game, probably. I'm relaxed, right? I'm not doing any research preparing for this. Anyway, I played this game. I decided, well, I'm kind of, I wanted to do Might and Magic, but didn't want to do any more Might and Magic 1. It was just a little too crude for my feelings at the time, and so I thought, well, I'll jump all the way to 6. And this is kind of cool. It's still, it's very much a 90s game. It's slightly better than Doom, kind of not quite EverQuest level graphics. Definitely not EverQuest graphics because the mobs, the creatures, and the people and so on are sprites basically. But still, it's pretty nice. 640. It's, as far as I can tell, I haven't found any settings to change the resolution. 640 by 480. The controls are well, I don't think they're configurable, but let me confirm that before I make a profound statement here. But let's just start a new game.
Having cheated death during the night of shooting stars, you find yourself as far from your village of Sweetwater as old Falagar's magic could take you. 3 years have passed while Falagar imparted what knowledge he could to train you in your chosen professions. But the time came at last when he could teach you no more, and you have ventured into the world to seek your fame and fortune. Now, a world away from your lost home, you have stumbled across evidence of a terrible conspiracy involving a new religious cult. 5 letters from King Roland to his wife Catherine, and a letter from the King of the Devils to a wicked traitor named Sulman have turned up in an abandoned goblin camp. Your fate seems inextricably bound to these letters and that awful night, and your role in the events to come may be larger than anyone could imagine. The tools you have are but a small sum of gold, your wits, and a lot of potential. The roads ahead are infinite, and all the choices are yours to make. So choose wisely. Good luck.
Okay, there was some relevant spoken text, but I think you can read the text, so if you couldn't hear it, just read it. But this reminds me, yes, those texts. One of them is in the game. I think 5 of them are in the manual. This is a little different, but let's tab out of the game. I think this will go okay. I'm playing it in full screen mode, and let's open the manual and look at those texts. I've read these before, but you probably haven't. Okay, let's try to get this so it's pretty readable. Here, not perfect, but okay, enough, Nikos. All right, let's find the proper pages here. Oh, let's see. Okay, no. I think I can zoom in a bit more here. King Roland is... Okay, no, we're still not at the letters here. Where are the letters? Okay, here we go. Here's one. July 28th. This is a little small for me, but I'll try to read this. July 28th, 1152. My beloved Catherine, it is my sincere hope that this letter... For a second, I thought I was muted. It is my sincere hope that this letter will later rest the fears you expressed for my safety and that of my men. As you must understand, this trip could not be avoided. Both the Kilburn investigation and the Blackshire appointment require my personal attention, and I haven't visited the Northwest in ages. It troubles me that you should fret over my welfare during my absence, however short it will be. So please, dear, accept my promise that I will return by September without mishap. After all, what could go wrong? I have 500 armed men in my expedition, all of them veterans of the Archibald campaign. I'm a popular king traveling in lands no one disputes his mind, and we have heard no news of rebellion or unrest. Many people flock to watch us pass through their hamlets and villages, eager to get an admiring glimpse of their king and his men. Tried to click the mute button there, but double-clicked it. Sorry. Nothing stands in our way, and no dangers beset us. Even the monsters are scarce. We have seen but a handful of goblins and ogres, and not even one dragon. Interesting, he says, not even one dragon. The only trouble we've had was a freak snowstorm that struck as we entered the village of Rockham. Even that, peculiar as it was of little consequence, as the villagers put us all up for the night in their homes, houses, and barns. Of the devils that some say plague towns in the northwest, we have only rumors. We have not yet encountered a soul who claims to have seen one himself. Let me scroll up a little bit. Nor anyone who has found the bodies of Lord Kilburn and his rangers. The only devils we have seen are these huge mosquitoes that love the swamplands so much. Wretched beasts. My place in history would be assured if I could only think of a way to rid the world of such nuisances. No, Catherine, Lord Kilburn was probably slain by something much more mundane than devils. Perhaps a pair of dragons or a large band of highwaymen. Either way, we shall resolve his disappearance in short order, bring any human culprits to justice, or... Let's try this again. Either way, we shall resolve his disappearance in short order, bring any human culprits to justice, or slaying any monsters. I'm not sure that sentence quite works, but I'll go on. I cannot have my men attacked with impunity. Now, once again, put your fears to rest, and believe me when I say that I will return come September. Tell our son Nikolai that I love him, and that I love you with all my heart. Forever yours, Roland something. I'm sure it tells us here. Yes, King Roland. I have no idea what his last name there should be, but let's go to the next letter. But I'm gonna take a little drink here, see if I can't keep this coughing from recurring. Sorry. Okay, August 4th, 1152. Why is this spacing in here between the 1? It should be August 4th, 115, 2? But no, I don't know. Dear Catherine, due to the snowstorm in Rockham, of which I wrote you last week, read what's written, not what you think it says. We have reached Blackshire one day behind schedule. By the time you receive this letter, we shall once again be on our way, following the leads we discovered while in town. Kilburn's expedition disappeared a few days march west of here, so we shall soon reach the site of his last stand and begin tracking the killers. Blackshire received us enthusiastically. In a few hours' consideration was all I needed to select a new town magistrate. His name is Acton Spindler, formal replacement for my previous magistrate and old friend Aaron Hampton. I have reason to suspect that Hampton was murdered, poisoned to be specific, but there's no time for me to conduct another investigation personally. Instead, I am leaving Phineas Hogworth behind to look into the matter. Ordinarily, I would not involve myself in local criminal matters, but Hampton's death fills me with vague unease. It is probably a much simpler matter than that, but I am nonetheless anxious to learn the result. Let's see, it just occurred to me that you may not have been able to say the bottom of the last letter, so let me do this. In the meantime, let's me try that again. Okay, now I've read that. In the meantime, I am proceeding with my investigation into Kilburn's death. Yesterday evening, at the inn in Blackshire, I received a letter from a rather nervous messenger who said he was paid to bring it to me by a mysterious stranger who didn't look quite human. Pressed for a description, he could only say that the stranger was very tall and broad-shouldered, big, like he barely fit into his own body, and that he wore a hat that could have concealed inhuman ears. The letter turned out to be a map showing a location near Tilburn's last known camp, with the name Kilburn circled in red ink. I smell a very obvious trap which could, of course, conceal a more devious plan, but I cannot see exactly how. Or perhaps the stranger is honestly trying to help anonymously. Either way, no trap set by man. Clearly, it's not the best idea for me to be reading long text, but Either way, no trap set by man or monster can overwhelm the fighting force I have with me. Caution will see us through this safely. I will, of course, write you when we arrive in Edenbrook. You are always in my thoughts, and I miss you dearly. Please convey a father's love to Nikolai. Love, Roland. Something Fist, maybe? I still can't quite read what that says. Okay, just a moment. August 11th, 1152. Dear Catherine, I cannot honestly say that our trip to Edinburgh was uneventful. As we approached the town, we encountered a trickle of refugees fleeing Edenbrook that gradually increased to a flood. When questioned, they told us that an army of devils had been spotted walking and hopping toward Edenbrook, a town with no wall and no standing garrison. I immediately increased our pace to reach the town before the monsters could sack it. It was well that I did, for our arrival was but hours ahead of the enemy. Exhausted and ill-prepared to fight against an unknown enemy, my men nonetheless girded for battle. I ordered archers to the hilltop overlooking the town and infantry to hide amongst the houses near the road, with flanking cavalry out of sight around the hill. 30 men on horseback were sent ahead to lure the enemy into the trap. This is this luring thing is something I've commonly read in history, and I haven't read enough military history, which frankly is generally not that interesting to me, but I would be interested in these, day-to-day tactic type things. I wonder how often that is actually used. It seems like my suspicions are it's more of a fictional device than something that actually works in practice, but what do I know? I'm not in the military. It worked. The devils must have lacked even rudimentary discipline or intelligence, for they immediately gave chase to my men. The horsemen raced past the archers hiding below the crest of the hill and passed into town with the devils hot on their heels. The bait was taken, the trap sprung. I'm not sure what this text here is. El Demonic Horde, maybe? It's something that, like, maybe was on this scroll artwork behind it that was not properly masked out, I think. I'm not sure. As hundreds of the most filthy, vicious, and stupid beasts ever to draw to life filled the road beneath the hill, I gave the archers the signal. Arrows rained down the hill upon the devils from above, while the infantry sprang from their hiding places to bar entrance to the town. Before the first shock of the two armies' clash faded, the light cavalry rode around the hill, charging into the main mass of devils with lance and sword. Then the battle began in earnest, and it was all we could do to hold our lines against... Could this be an error here? The demonic horde. I think this text here is meant to be here. Huh. Well, against the demonic horde. I'm going to assume that's the case. Though the battle was short, the tales of valor and bravery are many. Sir Ragnar rescued Chief Sorcerer Tanir from certain death when he was set upon by no less than 5 devils, after his fireball spell failed. Ragnar charged into the group, swinging wildly and screaming like a barbarian. His first swing lopped one head clean off, while the next skewered an enemy through its black heart. This letter continues. The other 3 devils quickly overcame him, but a recovered Tanir threw all 3 with his famed famed inside-out spell in time to save Sir Ragnar. You'll be happy to hear that he is recovering nicely at the House of Healing in Edenbrook, and will be out of bed in no time. Unfortunately, many were not so lucky. Others who survived the combat itself contracted a disease our healer says was caused by the filthy conditions of the devil's claws. In all, 83 men fell in the fight against these devils. Yet we have Providence to thank that our fortuitous arrival in Edenbrook's hour of need prevented the death of hundreds more. The devils suffered much heavier losses, 272 dead. The survivors, much less than half thankfully, fled as one on some sort of unseen signal, and we were too exhausted to give chase. After a short rest here, we will hunt them down and finish them off. I know you'll want to know that I have survived the battle unscathed. I fear that what I have just written may be disquieting, but you would never forgive me for telling you anything but the truth. Excuse me. I am entrusting my advisor Solman to take care of the details of informing the families of the fallen, as I am entrusted him with so many other things, including the delivery of these letters to you. He will handle the matter with tact and can be relied on to select the speediest messengers for my letters. Eternally, Roland Iron Fist. I can read it. It's bigger here. P.S. I will send another letter after we caught up with that. I will send another letter after we have caught up with that demonic army and dispatched it. You and Nikolai should hear from me in about a week. Let me take a drink and clear my throat again. Sorry. August 18th, 1152. No spacing this time. Dear Catherine, before the sun rose over the Battle of Edenbrook, we departed to give chase to the monsters. Clouds streamed over our heads, very like the ones that delayed us in Rackham, threatening more summer snow. Dauntless, my men pressed on, driven by the desire to avenge their fallen comrades and send those foul demons back to the hell from whence they came. The devils seemed tireless at first, stopping only for water and fleeing like darkness before the sunrise. We chased them for days, even though they seemed to be outdistancing us. Try that word again. They seemed to be outdistancing us mile after mile. Our forced marches and short rests made the hot summer days nightmarish and confusing. Several men were felled by the heat and strain, and we had to send a small contingent of 6 men back to Edenbrook lest they die from the stress of the march. On the 5th day we reached the bitter barren land of Pleasant Valley. If the demons did not turn from their path soon, we would chase them into the sea. Since we simply could not catch them at their tireless pace, I took a gamble and traveled northwest until we reached the old trade road that snaked along the western coast, hoping that when the enemy reached the sea they would lack any real plan and would follow the road. Again, the enemy provided mindlessly predictable proof. Let's just start over on that and make sure it's on the screen here. Again, the enemy proved mindlessly predictable, and again I was able to lay an ambush that proved decisive. With a full day's rest at the narrow pass I had chosen, my men were able to contrive a vicious ambush that would have turned Archibald green with envy. When fully half of the men had filed into the pass, when fully half of the enemy had filed into the pass, we attacked, rolling boulders down the cliff face and showering them with arrows. The avalanche we caused blocked the road, splitting the demonic army in half. We concentrated on the part of the army that had yet to travel through the pass and thus lacked leadership from the front. In minutes we had decimated that portion without a single loss on our side. The remaining army of devils immediately fled north, chased by our arrows and curses. Considering the small number of devils remaining, 45 or so, and the difficulty in chasing the enemy further, in chasing them any further, I declared the mission a success, and we spent the night celebrating our victory. The celebration, I fear, was premature. As the night hours wore on, my outriders began to return from their scouting details with reports of an army of devils numbering in the thousands. Traveling out of the Badlands in our direction, I was forced to order a retreat, hunter and hunted reversing roles. Catherine, I write this letter to you during one of our infrequent and brief rest stops. Our pursuers are faster than us and do not tire as easily. My scouts and seers report that the demons have followed our trail despite all efforts to shake them, and these horrible summer snowstorms seem to pursue us as relentlessly as the devils themselves. I fear there is a traitor amongst us, somehow signaling the enemy our every move. My dear, I want you to give this letter to Wilburn Humphrey. He is to organize an army large enough to put these devils down, say 25,000 men, and do it immediately. I also want you to call upon Rockland, the king of the dwarves, and enforce him of the situation. He'll come. This danger affects both our kingdoms, and he also owes me a favor, since I came to his aid during the succession wars against my evil brother Archibald. In the meantime, we flee east again to seek a fortified location that can hold off the demonic horde until help can arrive. I am not going to reveal the location until we arrive there for fear these messages will be intercepted by the enemy. I'm having Solm... Oh, that's in the name Solman. It's kind of odd this has inconsistent spacing, but... I'm having Solman dispatch our fastest messenger, again, it's like running together here, with this message. May you get this soon and act on it sooner. I am counting on you and thinking of you and Nikolai all the time. Roland Iron Fist. Let me pause just a moment. apologies. This is not the game. We're getting to it in time, but within the game itself, there doesn't seem to be that much story, at least not that I've gotten to so far. So I think it's worth spending a little time on the back story, so to speak, here. So August 23rd, 1152. My beloved, we reached Castle Kriegspire a day ahead of the enemy and have fortified our position in anticipation of attack. This is the last enemy you will receive from me until we are liberated by the army you and Humphrey are preparing. I thank the gods that I reserved this particular castle as a future reward for some loyal knight or nobleman. It has been unused since the succession wars, having formerly belonged to a supporter of my brother. Provisions here are meager. We are counting on resupply from either Rockland or you, as we can hold out for 2 weeks we can only hold out for 2 weeks with the available rations. Sorry about that. That was an instance of being muted when I didn't realize it. So I'm just going to start with that top paragraph again. I thank the gods that I reserved this particular castle as a future reward for some loyal knight or nobleman. It has been unused since the succession wars, having formerly belonged to a supporter of my brother. Provisions here are meager. We're counting on resupply from either Rockland or you, as we can only hold out for 2 weeks with the available rations. The forces we have here are barely adequate for defense, but we should be able to last until your reinforcements arrive. Hurry. We have spent some time exploring the castle, finding many secret passages and surprises. Perhaps we may even find an escape tunnel. If the wall is breached, the traps, pits, and secrets may well serve us well. I hope it never comes to that, but it is best to be prepared. I will be much relieved if the treacherous necromancer who used to own this castle was paranoid enough to have dug an escape tunnel. Someone has been a great help during this entire misadventure. I guess he didn't... I'm a little confused. Wasn't Solomon sent with the prior letters? Is Solomon managing to get back and forth through all this? Or is he collecting these letters and sending them all at once? That makes more sense, I guess. Solomon has been a great help during this entire misadventure, and he has promised to look into the cause of the snowstorms. He is, after all, a master of air, to see if they are divinely sent. Another has already formed over our castle and is even now covering us with snow and misery. Devils seem to operate better in cold weather. Anyway, this siege will give Solomon plenty of time to look into the causes. Perhaps the traitor that is surely amongst our routes is also the cause of the storms. Fear of such a traitor has me sleeping poorly at night, presuming I could ever sleep well in these circumstances. What would a man have to gain from such treachery? A high post in the devil hierarchy? I would like to see that. Wealth? Do devils even have wealth? What could it be? If there is such a traitor, I shall catch him and have him publicly strung up and tortured. To think that he is probably hiding under my very nose makes me sick unto death. There is nothing worse than a traitor, and even Archibald would agree. Well, no use complaining. He will show himself soon enough, and I am sure. I must go now and finish the preparations for the siege. Know that if I have never see you again, I love you and I love Nikolai, and if you love me half as much, move as fast as you can to send reinforcements to our rescue. Pray for us, Roland Iron Fist. P.S. If I should fail to return, tell Nikolai that the third eye is in the well. He'll understand when the time is right. It is his birthright. He will need it if he is ever to be king. Okay, so I think that's finally it for the letters. Sorry about all my pauses, but this doesn't seem to be... Never is, it seems like, a good night for me to be doing streams and Let's Plays, so best to just do it and get on with it as best I can. Okay. Still going to be a lot to talk about here, but... so I may not go on a whole lot further with this. This may just be a very long intro, but I'm not going to deal with a create party. There is a quick start option that gives you, as far as I can tell so far, a sufficient party. I have read some outside content about this game that suggests you can definitely do a lot of optimization And I'm hopeful, in fact, that there's a lot of replay value in this game in terms of being able to play it in different ways, so on.